Every time you set a goal or you make a decision, opposition shows up. Ever wonder why? Let me show you how physics and even your faith both are saying that's a gift. So in this video, I am going to be talking about Newton's third law, which simply says for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It's the law of resistance, or the law of opportunity and opposition. Yeah, hang tight. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be, it's going to be good. Welcome back. Man, the year 2020, when I decided to start my journey in financial literacy and financial freedom, to become financially free, it was like all hell began to break loose on every side. First, we all encountered a natural pandemic, COVID. I had just accepted a new job, a new role, and I was in the process of actually relocating my family to a whole different state. And then that happened. Not only that, the job, everything at the job began shifting and changing like crazy. I'm telling you, all hell broke loose for me. All. Has that happened for you? How many times have you made a decision and all of a sudden it's like everything you want to go after, things start popping up left and right, which seems to maybe tell you that maybe that isn't the right way to go, or really brings about discouragement. You feel like, okay, maybe this is not the right time. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should postpone this endeavor. Maybe I should delay it a little bit. But I have news for you. All of that is a hint to actually tell you that you are making progress in the right direction. You see, there is no opportunity without opposition. There isn't one. Because the only way to prove that you're willing to take advantage of the opportunity is to face the opposition, to prove to the opposition that you are truly willing to receive or to achieve what that opportunity is going to give you as an outcome. Let's think about this for a minute. How would you appreciate negative if there was no positive? In electricity, I'm an electrical engineer by trade. In electrical engineering, we are being told and trained that the only reason why we get electricity is because electrons are moving from the negative to the positive. Kind of interesting that it seems like current is flowing from the negative to the positive. But that movement of electrons from the negative to the positive is what causes current to flow in the opposite direction. Yeah. So there's no way you can appreciate positive without negative. Think about it. How would you appreciate a warm weather if you've never witnessed a cold one? How would you even appreciate a cup of hot tea if you've never drank cold water or cold tea? How would you appreciate hot food if you've never had an experience with cold food? So even when you think about wealth, you can't appreciate it if you've never really encountered and dealt with poverty or lack or scarcity. So opportunity, it always comes hand in hand with opposition. So Newton helps us. He said, to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And he says, and. The word and is a conjunction. It's a very important word in English. Anytime you see that word and, it simply tells you that what was said prior to that word and cannot be true or can't exist fully without what is said after the word and. So for you to enjoy what was said before, that which was said after must also be true. And as a scientist, I think of the truth table. The only time when you use the word and, which is considered a Boolean function, the only time the result is true is when both are true, when both conditions are true. Every other time, it has to be false. So I really want to encourage you that maybe, just maybe, you may have been witnessing some challenging moments in your life and you're thinking, now this can't be it. In fact, some of you who pray and believe so much in God and you've been praying and fasting and all of a sudden everything you see is telling you the contrary to even what you prayed. I have news for you. Keep moving forward, because for every action, there will always be an equal but opposite reaction. So today in this video, I'm going to share with us 3 power moves that you and I can engage in to help us leverage or take advantage of this third law of Newton, because it is that powerful. The more aware we become of what this law is, and the more we understand how it applies in the physical realm, the better we can leverage it to our advantage. And the less you begin to worry or feel concerned or become anxious about what's happening around you, because now you understand that that thing that you see as opposition, that thing that you see as a concern or as a challenge, is actually an indication that you're actually moving in the right direction. So, question: what if you began perceiving the things that happen to you as a sign that you're actually doing the right thing or you're actually moving in the right direction? Would that change how you go about handling that challenge? Could it change how you go about maybe talking about what you call your problems? Maybe so. Maybe so. And I hope it does for you, because that is what it's doing for me. So, what are some of these moves that we can go into today? Again, I said 3. And I always like to, because I understand how powerful this is and how important it is, I actually wrote down some things to help me guide my thoughts. Okay? So, what is the first power move? So, power move number 1, I wrote it down, is expect the pushback. And what I mean by that is this, is that I want you now to start normalizing resistance. Expect it. Because here's why it works. When you expect opposition, you stop being surprised by it and you start being strategic about it. That's the truth. If you anticipate that this can go, I want you to think about this, because sometimes this is what we don't do, but here's a playbook. Every time you set a goal, right? Pre-frame your mind. Yes, ask yourself some things like, what could go wrong based on this decision you've made? What could go wrong? What could potentially pop up? If you ask yourself those types of questions, now you can prepare for them, right? And then now you can plan countermeasures before the storm actually happens. So I want you to start thinking about it that way. Don't relent. So that way you're not surprised anymore. Okay? And like I said, what would change if opposition didn't rattle you, but reminded you that you are aligned with purpose? Can you recall a time when the very thing that frustrated you was actually building your endurance? It's a good one. In fact, I have a scripture for us. James chapter 1, verse 2 to 4. I'm just going to paraphrase. I'm not going to read everything, but it says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So that word count is an accounting word. So God is telling us that account for the trials and tribulations that you're facing. Account for them. Because when you see these things, they are intended to help you, to do something in you, and to bring you to a place where you no longer lack anything. I hope that this can help us to really begin to reframe, readjust, and reposition the way we perceive what we call challenges, what we consider to be opposition. It's doing this for me. I hope it does that for you as well.
Hey YouTube family, thank you again for the subscription, for all the comments you're sending my way. I really do appreciate it. Now, I do see that a lot of you are watching, you're viewing, but you're not subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button so every time a new content pops up, you get the notification right away. Now, I have an announcement to make. This is huge for me. On June 6th, that is Friday, June 6th, I will be hosting a live event with one of my great mentors, the guy who's been really the reason for why I do what I do now. I really want to announce this and I don't want you to miss it for anything else. So stay tuned for more information. Be there. You don't want to miss it. Let's go back now to the content. Have to see you there.
Power move number 2, double down, don't retreat. And what do I mean by this? I mean to say that you want to respond with more force and not less. You want to intensify your response when these things happen. Don't relent. This one really got me though, because so a few times personally, when some things happen, I'll share with you this. Um, just last year, my wife suffered a severe car accident. Thank God she survived. But when that accident happened, the events that happened after that accident is what really began to trouble me. Because, first of all, she felt like, oh, it wasn't bad. She could return to work and everything else. And I began telling her, I said, no, I don't think you can right away. But as strong and as tough as she is, she actually went back to work after about a week or so. But the pain began gradually surfacing from different areas. What that dealt with was that at that time I was in a place in my life and in my business where things were not working very well, and I quickly had to pivot. Instead of me being discouraged, I realized that I had to push harder to really make some things happen for myself and my family. That's what I'm talking about. How many times have you been discouraged by friends, family, you name it, because you shared a desire to do something or a goal you had in mind that you really wanted to achieve? And the criticism that came from the very people that you were hoping to receive encouragement, maybe the backstabbing, you name it. In those moments, what I'm saying is that double down, increase the intensity of what you're doing. Because here's the thing, whenever we increase the consistency of our habits, when things get harder, it quickly eventually becomes easier. Like Jim Rohn often said, that don't wish things were easier, wish you were stronger. These challenges are specifically designed to strengthen you and I. That is the interesting part of all this. So use your opposition as an energy redirection. Don't stop, but pivot with power. Because here's a question now I have to ask. How might your life look if you stop backing off every time pressure showed up? What if that closed door was just forcing you to knock a little harder? I want you to think about that because that is profound. Power move number 3, document the pattern. And I want you to think about it this way. What do I mean by document the pattern? I'm trying to say this, that you want to mine your resistance for insight. You know what sometimes people say they're mining data. You're doing data mining. That's what I'm talking about. Mine what's happening, because everything that's happening, there is a pattern that comes with it. Resistance also has patterns. And once you see it, you now can anticipate and diffuse it before it derails you. That's why you want to mind it. Oh man, this one, I am currently dealing with this now. Because there are some things that are happening to me that I've seen before. And now I'm in the place where I'm taking a step back to ask myself some questions so I can understand what's going on. Once I can tap into that insight, it's game over. Because now I would have a playbook to quickly diffuse that thing before it becomes a bigger problem. So maybe a playbook that you could consider is, what if you journal your biggest life moves? What resistance followed when you make those big decisions? Look for repeated sabotages. Is it always timing, money, or support? What are those things that keep repeating themselves? Look for those things because they would help you. And because here is the question now. There is a reason why I'm asking this question, because questions are the doorway to enlightenment, to transformation, and to breakthroughs. You see, on this side of heaven, we have 2 reasons why questions will always be asked, either to seek information or to stimulate thought. Because when God asks you and I a question, it's not because he's seeking for information. He's all-knowing. I'll leave that for another day. So here's the question though. What would happen if you studied your resistance like a scientist studies data? Could the resistance be pointing out something you've never addressed but need to? Because here's how I want you to reframe what you've been considering or what you've been talking about as resistance or challenge. Let's reframe it. Resistance isn't rejection. It's refinement. It's refinement. Yeah, it's refinement. Think about it. The little information I know about the process of mining diamond, there's a lot of digging that starts. And that digging is just to get to that stone that is still very impure. But they have a lot of dirt that they've removed just to find that precious metal. And then it goes through heat at a very high temperature. So they could melt it and be able to eliminate the impurities before they can now take it and then process it again and then start to reshape it before we see what is now called a diamond, and we spend so much money for it. That's kind of how resistance is. You're going to go through that in life and face some challenges. But when those oppositions come, be reminded that without them, you can never appreciate where you are, where you have been, or where you come from. So think about this for a second. What if resistance, the resistance you are feeling right now, is the echo of your own power being released into the world. Drop "I see it now" in the comment section. If this unlocks something for you, share it with a friend. Let's continue this journey because, like I said again, in everything that we all get, with all of your getting, get understanding. That's my time for today. Have a great day.